or rent any reasonable item or service that you want. Keep in mind, though, I don't deal with the exchange of firearms, alcohol items, drugs, or anything illegal or immoral. So send me an email today at gunthershouseoffriends@gmail.com.
And here is the Writer's Almanac for Wednesday, the 9th of October, 2013. It's the birthday of Jill Kerr Conway, born in New South Wales, Australia, 1934. Father was a sheep rancher. She grew up in isolation on a sheep ranch far, far from town. She became a sheep hand on the ranch, checking fences and prodding sheep from one paddock to another. Went off to college, studied history, and then spent 10 years as the president of Smith College, first woman to hold that position. She's the author of The Road from Kurain and A Woman's Education. Jill Kerr Conway, who said, "You never know what you'll want to write until it starts writing itself in your head." It was on this day the Washington Monument was opened to the public. It had been 40 years in the building from 1848, opened on this day 1888. At the time, 550 feet high, it was the tallest building in the world. It's the birthday of James Howe McClure, born 1939, Johannesburg, South Africa, a journalist and a crime novelist. He wrote a series of crime novels in the Kramer and Zondi series set in South Africa, 2 detectives, 1 Afrikaner and 1 Zulu, and then wrote a couple of nonfiction books about police in Liverpool and police in San Diego. James Howe McClure, who said, "I long ago thought the finest thing to be is an entertainer, with tons of funny things to say. If people find lots more in my work, that's great. But if they just read and have a good laugh, that's fine for me." It's the birthday of the Irish poet Ciaran Carson, 1948, in Belfast. Still lives there. His parents only spoke Irish at home, and the Carson children learned English playing in the streets with other children. Author of many books, including Belfast Confetti and Shamrock Tea. Ciaran Carson, who said there's a whole language out there, and one's role as a writer is to stumble around in it. And it's the birthday of the composer Camille Saint-Saëns, born in Paris, 1835. Wrote 13 operas, of which the most famous, really the only one much performed, was Samson and Delilah. Toured frequently, playing his piano concertos all over Europe and the United States, accompanied by a servant and his pet dogs. Saint-Saëns, who said, "I like good company, but I like hard work even better." Here's a poem for today by Lawrence Ferlinghetti from A Coney Island of the Mind, number 20. The penny candy store beyond the L is where I first fell in love with unreality. Jelly beans glowed in the semi-gloom of that September afternoon. A cat upon the counter moved among the licorice sticks and Tootsie Rolls and Oh Boy gum. Outside the leaves were falling as they died. A wind had blown away the sun. A girl ran in, her hair was rainy, her breasts were breathless in the little room. Outside the leaves were falling, and they cried, "Too soon, too soon." A poem by Lawrence Ferlinghetti, number 20, from A Coney Island of the Mind, published by New Directions and used by permission here on the Writer's Almanac, supported by the Poetry Foundation, publisher of Poetry Magazine, committed to discovering great poets and printing their verse. Back issues and subscriptions available at poetryfoundation.org. And by Lumosity. Lumosity.com's daily online workouts are designed to improve memory and attention and are dedicated to helping people feel sharper, think faster, and remember more. More at Lumosity.com. Engineered by Noah Smith, produced by Joy Biles. Be well, do good work, and keep in touch.
This is the Composer's Datebook for October 9th. I'm John Zeck. John Lennon was born on today's date in the year 1940 in Liverpool, England, during a German air raid on that city, as it happens. With three other young lads from Liverpool, Lennon would eventually become world famous, courtesy of the band he helped form in 1959, the Beatles. The Beatles started out in a Liverpool nightclub called The Cavern, playing covers of pop tunes of the day, but soon they began performing original material of their own. And before disbanding in 1970, some recognizable elements of what we call classical music were incorporated into a few famous Beatles songs, including a string quartet, a Baroque trumpet, and even the whole London Symphony Orchestra. And it wasn't just a one-sided exchange either. Leonard Bernstein played a Beatles song on one of his young people's concerts to demonstrate sonata form. Arthur Fiedler performed symphonic arrangements of Beatles tunes at his Boston Pops concerts. And decades after the Beatles broke up, former member Paul McCartney began composing original chamber works and big concert hall pieces, including a semi-autobiographical Liverpool oratorio. Not surprisingly, any number of young British and American composers coming of age in the 60s and 70s credit the Beatles as an influence. However, this elegant solo guitar arrangement of Here, There, and Everywhere, a Lennon-McCartney tune, comes from the eminent Japanese composer Toru Takemitsu. For more information on all kinds of composers, check out our website, composersdatebook.org. Composer's Datebook is produced by APM, American Public Media, and the American Composers Forum, reminding you that all music was once new.
The bouquet residence, the lady of the house speaking. Oh no, I know that was pretty bad Hyacinth, but I had to try. Great British sitcom there, my friends, keeping up appearances. All right. Don't worry, no bucket woman involved in this program, at least as far as I know. Welcome back to Studio 26, as we're nearing the halfway point of the program, at least in terms of what I have on the list. Don't know how much longer it's going to last, but we'll see. Still to come, we'll have the song of the day a little bit later on, as well as popular tweets of the day. News of the weird, news from NPR, as well as Fox Radio News in a few minutes. Today in history around the corner. Right now, though, we're going to take a look at celebrity birthdays, and before I get to that, I wanted to remind you that normally I would have Across Our Wide Missouri around this time, but no Across Our Wide Missouri for today, so I'm sorry about that. Hopefully I'll have it for you tomorrow, but no Across Our Wide Missouri for this Wednesday. But what I do have, though, are celebrity birthdays, which I'll take care of right now. And before I play the open, if you are celebrating your birthday today, excuse me, didn't mean to belch in your ear. If you're celebrating your birthday today, happy birthday. Okay, we'll get to that list in just a moment. So let me start this.
Damn it, Jim, what the hell's the matter with you? Other people have birthdays. Why are we treating yours like a funeral?
Bones, that ought to be lectured.
And again, if you're celebrating your birthday today, happy birthday, and you share your birthday with these famous people. They include, I hope I'm getting this name right, Fivush Finkel of Boston Public and Picket Fences is 91 today. Manager and TV personality Sharon Osbourne is 61 today, and that's a yes from me. Tony Shalhoub is 60, real funny guy. Remember him from Monk. He was also in one of my favorite comedy movies, Galaxy Quest. Turned 60 today. And Scotty McCreery from American Idol is 20. Glad they said American Idol because I had no idea who he is. And those are celebrity birthdays for today. All right, now let's get ready to go back in time for today in history and step on out here. And there's the time machine. Yes, I know it's a DeLorean, but it's a time machine. After all, if you're going to build a time machine into a car, you might as well do it some style. So I have room for one passenger, and guess what? I've chosen you. Yeah, you, right there. So come on in. Don't worry, I won't kill the battery this time, I promise. Can't do it in the time machine. Besides, I got Mr. Fusion back there. So let's get in, turn on the time circuits, turn off the radio, start the engine, and away we go. And as we go back in time, we go back to the year 1904, October 9th, 1904. And on this date in history, the American Tobacco Company was established. On this date in 1904. You know, I understand that the American Tobacco Company, from that day on, grew like a cancer. I know, it was a bad joke, but you were thinking the same thing, weren't you? Or at least along that same line. For more of Today in History, let's go to the Associated Press and some overmodulated levels.
October 9th, 1967.
Porque es la naturaleza del imperialismo la que bestializa a los hombres.
Che Guevara, the Latin American guerrilla leader, is executed in Bolivia while trying to spark a revolution. Guevara, who aided Fidel Castro's rise to power in Cuba, remains a global icon to this day. 2001. Letters with a New Jersey postmark that later test positive for anthrax spores are mailed to Capitol Hill. They're addressed to two Democratic senators, Tom Daschle of South Dakota and Patrick Leahy of Vermont. A Senate office building is later closed for months of cleanup, part of the nation's anthrax scare after the September 11th attacks. 1985. Palestinian hijackers who seized the cruise liner Achille Lauro surrender after the ship arrives in Egypt. It marks the end of a hostage ordeal in the Mediterranean that left an American passenger dead. 1975. Andrei Sakharov, the nuclear physicist and human rights advocate in what's then the Soviet Union, wins the Nobel Peace Prize. 2006. North Korea announced it had conducted its first nuclear weapons test, drawing condemnation from around the world. Also that year, internet search giant Google announced it was snapping up YouTube in a $1.65 billion stock deal. And in 1940,
imagine all the people living life in peace.
John Lennon, one of the Fab Four members of the Beatles, is born in Liverpool, England. Today in History, October 9th. John Belmont, The Associated Press.